Hello everyone for another exciting video to develop your language skills. So like the previous video, I'm starting with a short reading extract. Focus on the pronunciation of different words and sentences. Once I move at this, I'm going to explain some of the vocabulary and expressions which I've color-coded. So first, let's start with the reading. So this is a short extract from a novel written by a Spanish writer. When he was a young man, the writer traveled across Spain. The passage describes the journey he made from the port of Vigo to the town of Zamora during his first few days in that country. So here the story starts. It was early and still dark when we reached the harbour and the soothingly rhythmic rocking of the ship stopped. I was awakened by the noise of the rattling anchor going over the side. I didn't want to move at first because I had enjoyed the voyage, my very first experience at sea. So I lay for a while in silence at Vigo Harbour and listened to the first faint sounds of Spain, howling dog and the sharp cry of a cockroach. I had at last reached my destination, and uh, I went up onto the deck, and for the first time in my life, I saw it looped around the bay like a sparkling necklace. The shape of a foreign city, the shape of a foreign city. There was no movement among the houses, but lights were coming on and twinkling as people got up for the new day. I was in Spain and a new life was beginning. I had few coins in my pocket and no return ticket. I had a rucksack, a tent, some spare clothes, a blanket, violin, and only enough words to ask for a glass of water. The sun rose and people started appearing on the street. I cut my last connection with home by changing my coins into local currency, bought some bread and fruit and headed straight for the open country. I spent the rest of the day on a long, arduous climb up from the coast and then decided to put up my tent for the night on a craggy hilltop. A primitive instinct had forced me to leave the road and climb to this rocky tower, which gave me an eagle's view of the distant harbour I had recently left. I could see where I had been that day and much of the country still to come, which rolled desolately away, wild and silent, faced with its alien magnificence. I felt a pang of homesickness, but nevertheless a twinge of excitement. So this was the short extract I read from the story. Now let's look at the vocabulary and other expressions. So what we're going to do is I'll explain different forms of vocabulary and the meanings as well as the different forms it can take, and then the collocations. Collocation means which other words can come together with a certain word. So we're going to continue like this. So we have harbor, which is a place for docking ships, but it also means to host or hold something, like the city was harboring the colorful event. Different forms of harbor are harbored and harboring, and the collocations is harboring an event, like the city is going to harbor a colorful event. The next word is soothingly. When something happens soothingly, it happens in a calming and relaxing way. Different forms of soothings can be soothed, soothing, soothed, etc. Okay, so the mother spoke in soft voice to soothe her child. The mother's voice was really soothing, and the mother soothed the crying baby with her sweet words. Okay, so collocations for soothing can be soothing words, soothing remarks, etc. The next word we have, guys, is rhythmic. So something which is rhythmic is musical and in an orderly way. It is well rhymed. Different forms of rhythmic or different, derivatives of rhythmic can be rhythm, rhythmically, and the collocations you know better now is rhythmic sounds, rhythmic music, rhythmic words. Yeah, so this is how it could go. The next word we have is voyage, which means a journey, and collocations for voyage can be a long or a tiring voyage. Normally we take voyage for long sea journeys, so that's it. Okay, the next word is rattling. So it's a knocking sound. Different forms of is to rattle, rattled, and collocation is rattling sounds like the machine rattled hard in the factory, okay? Or we were annoyed by the rattling sounds of the machine, etc. Sparkling is the next word, which means shining or twinkling. Different forms, derivatives of sparkling can be sparkle, sparkled, like her teeth sparkled in her mouth. And the collocation is sparkling teeth. So next we go is looped, so okay, encircled, which means encircled. Different derivatives and forms of looped can be loop, looped, or looping, like the looping mountains, okay, or looking mysterious. Okay, the next one is craggy, which any surface which is uneven and rough, and the collocations are craggy surfaces. The mountain had many craggy surfaces, which made it easier for the mountaineers to climb on it. One reasons for difficulty in climbing mountain K2 is the lack of craggy surfaces. The next word is primitive, which means old. Collocation is primitive lifestyle, primitive houses, primitive cultures, okay? Like the primitive cultures of ancient civilizations of Mohenjo-daro, etc., etc. Desolate, something, a place which is desolate is vacant, uninhabited, and lonely. And metaphorically, we can use desolate as something, a feeling of unhappiness, like she was looking desolate, destroyed and rocked, having feeling of unhappiness. Different derivatives, forms of desolate can be desolately, desolation, and the collocations are desolate looks, desolate spaces. She was looking desolately at the site of, the destroyed buildings, etc., etc. Okay, she was looking desolate after the heavy earthquake, or the entire region looked desolate after the heavy earthquake. The next word is pang, which means a sudden sharp pain. Collocations, feeling sudden sharp or sudden pangs in her back. Okay, like she was feeling some sudden pangs of a backache, or in the neck, etc., etc. The next word is nevertheless. We see this word so many times in the text, which means in spite of that. This is a formal expression and means in spite of that. Okay, collocation. Nevertheless, it was a success. Okay, so we use nevertheless when something happens despite some difficulties or the problems which won't allow it to happen. So guys, this was all about today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. The best way to learn more from these lessons is to revise them. note down these vocabulary expressions and revise them on a weekly basis and keep using them in your speaking as well as writing. So don't forget to click on the like button as well as subscribe so that more and more videos like these can come to you on a weekly basis. So thank you very much all of you for watching this. Bye bye. See you in the next lesson. Have a go.